In my humble opinion, most important thing about character is motivation. What character wants, what character desires, what character dreams about. And it's my belief that what we want is core of our soul. Which is why I love character of Enrico Puuci in Jojo Part 6. We can have different preferences regarding Jojo villains because every part's villain has some unique charm to him. But objectively we can see that Enrico Puuci has most complex, confusing plan out of all villains in Jojo, except maybe part 3 Dio, because he was directly connected to the master plan of Enrico Puuci. Why is that? Why Heaven's plan is so fascinating? Because it's one of the most unique master plans ever. Important thing about character's motivation is unfortunately that it often repeats. Yeah? There is a limit what character can want. I mean, you have character who cares about their country, cares about their family, want to be rich, famous, hero, want to kill everybody. That's very prevalent, or rule the world. And when you read so many books, watch so many TV shows and so many mangas, comics, these things sooner or later starts to repeat. There may be some differences between the characters who basically wants very similar thing, because while I say that character is primarily about motivation, it is not the only thing what character is made of. Though motivation can be primarily thing which makes us like or dislike character, or if character is written well. After all, if your character has confusing, contradictory motivation, if he has very stupid motivation, then you will find hard to connect with him, you will find hard to dislike him, you will find hard everything. And I think regarding Heaven's plan, Hirohiko Araki did something very special. Why is that? Well, first of all, the main reason why Heaven's plan is so good is because it's so hard to grasp what Heaven's plan is. That might sound contradictory to what I said before, because as I said, if motivation is too confusing, it can be hard to connect with the character. But Enrico Puuci's Heaven's plan is confusing in a good way. I will try to explain. Puuci's philosophy regarding the fate and destiny, big theme in probably all of JoJo series, but particularly in the part 5 and part 6, is that Puuci believes that if everybody will be informed about their future, if they will know their destiny, they will accept it and they will have happy life, basically. I'm maybe not doing proper analysis of what he was trying to do, but basically that was it. He wanted everybody to know their destiny, and since they would know their outcome, they would not be able to change it, but would they be able to live happy life. To quote Puuci himself, resolution is the way to happiness. Which is interesting question in itself, because how does this kind of world looks like? How would humanity look like if everybody knew their destiny? Would they really find happiness? According to Puuci, yes, because knowing your future destiny, knowing what is your end game, what you will end up, brings certainty, you know? If you have a certainty of something happening, even if you die, I don't know, some terrible death, you will have much better way of accepting it because you already knows that it will happen. You know? It's interesting concept, you know, because it's hard to grasp. We don't know, and we are never shown in the manga how a world like that would look like. I know that the game would kinda cover that, Eyes of Heaven, but I wouldn't not like to talk about that because that's very different. That's very different from what was Puuci's version of heaven, obviously, because Over the Heaven and Made in Heaven are different things, you know? But this kind of manipulating fate for everybody and accelerating humanity to a better future, you know, Puuci trying to make everybody seize their destiny because of the trauma he suffered from death of his sister. That's interesting, yeah. This is the kind of plan which is interesting, which is not hard to grasp, but that's what makes it original, you know? That's biggest strength of Hirohiko Araki, that he's able to come up with confusing mess. It's hard to understand, but at the same time, that's what makes his stance original. That's what makes abilities original. Because more confusing, more elements into it, it's more original, and you can't say it is direct ripoff of something, and I love it. And I especially love it in regards to Enrico Puuci, who have this goal of altering the destiny for everybody. You know? It's not only very interesting motivation, which you would have hard time finding somebody who has something similar. That's what I love about it. You know? There is nothing similar to this, you know? And I really I try to be humble, but I read a lot of things, watch a lot of things, and there is nothing which comes close to Heaven's Plan, who is not only original because of its endgame, it's also quite original because of its parts. You know, it's original because you use very interesting stand for it, because you have to go through very particular process, which is weird, but also very exciting when you read about it. And I think that that's what makes Enrico Puuci villain with one of the most original motivations in fiction overall. You know, there is no other villain who tries to manipulate fate and destiny in this particular way for everybody. You know, I think that it's definitely something which was nice to see, finally something original, because as I said, you see many similarities between many characters throughout the many series, you know, and Puuci stands out with this original goal of making everybody happier, but not through creating some perfect paradise, which we already have, but to try to see them their destiny by that resolution, seeing the future as it happens by repeating it throughout that whole cycle thing. And I think that was nice, you know. It definitely made him interesting antagonist for Jojo part 6. And although I personally prefer Valentine because he was more realistic. I mean, Valentine is kind of guy you can see on the television because he is patriot basically. But Puuci's motivation, there was something beautiful about the whole Made in Heaven thing, about whole knowing your destiny, because it opened so much question. How would world like that look like? How would people react to it? And it is not similar to anything, you know. It is not like Matrix rip-off, you know, or world domination or some cartoonishly evil nonsense like that. It is something which you have to make your opinion about. Yeah, it's something you make to think about, and something you go back to read part 6. You know, I know that part 6 was controversial amongst some Jojo fans. But for me, the best part of this of Stone Ocean was definitely Puuci's master plan, because of its originality, because of its confusion, because of its complexity, and because you cannot form one way to look at it. That's what make it so good.